Hi, Gaye, DeRusso with Majestic Rider. So this is Tilly. This is my horse. That's her friend yelling to her. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Tilly. Tilly's a really special horse, right? Look at her. She's beautiful. And when she came to me, it was another barn. She was for sale, and then I bought her. And then I brought her here with me. And what I want to show you is, see how calm she is? Back legs cocked. She's just hanging out, ropes hanging over here. And she's just very mellow. And we just came back from a trail ride, and her friend is over there. And she's not yelling to her or anything. Didn't yell to her on the way back. What sometimes you don't understand is when a horse has been at the same place all her life or with the same owner, and that was Tilly, because they had her mother. And even though they trained her and trail rode her and took her places, she was used to being out in the pasture, having the same friends, and that was her home. So when I took her on, she immediately attached to another horse because she didn't know anybody and she didn't know where she was. Okay? And she didn't know me either. Look at her. She's like, oh, this is so boring. She's always talking about me. She was antsy. She was screaming. If I had tied her up here in the beginning, she would be rearing up. Yep, that did it. We're going to go a little further. And I'm not going to bring him back over until she settles down. So, come on, buddy. I'm going to let him graze a little more while she goes through her temper tantrum. And you never want to get them, unless they're caught or something, but you never want to go over when they're throwing a fit. It's just like a child. Let them go through the fit. Let them see, there's nothing they can do about it. They just got to deal with the situation. Mr. Nichols is like, this is how I deal with the situation. I'm taking advantage. I'm going to graze. She's like, this is bull, you know what. And if I tied her over where George is over there, she would be rearing up if she could not see that other horse. Okay? Now, it's not like I didn't separate him, I did. But she just took to that horse because she felt insecure and needed to feel safe, and that's what that horse, it was Mr. Nichols, provided for her. So anytime she couldn't see him, even though she could yell to him, she would lose her mind. And this is what we did. I separated them every day. I took them on different trail rides by themselves, and I separated them as much as I could, and I would put her in here, and I would put her over there for hours, and she would have temper tantrums, okay? She would rear up, she would dance in place, she would do all sorts of crazy stuff that many people would have took the horse back to who had sold them, though she also fought. Okay, so this is what Tilly usually does. And she'll stop when I come up because she knows she'll get in trouble or I'll put her feet to work. But if I walk away, this is what she does. And, it's anxiety, but it's also her demanding that she doesn't want to be there. It's her way of protesting instead of just standing still. Okay, so I'm going to put the hobbles on so you can see what she can do then. So she did pretty much every bad habit, except she never tried to kick me, okay? Oh, and you couldn't touch her back leg. She didn't like that so much. So I want you to see Tilly now. So I've had her, I think, a couple years. I can look it up. It took time. She's like, yeah, look at me. Look at how good I am. But now I can tie her, and she stands still. She might get antsy if I took her someplace and all the other horses were taken off or something. But now she realizes this is her new home, and she's okay here. This is not the same as her old home. There's a lot going on here. There's guys riding around with loose horses. There's horses that get loose and take off. And there's trucks that come in and out. There's ATVs, motorcycles, trailers, lots of things going on. And then I'm always doing stuff in that arena. So there is a lot going on. I'm telling you this story because, again, if you get a horse from someone and it's been there for a while, even if you ride them on the trails, like these are the trails here, okay? If you ride them at the trails at that place where that horse lives, you're going to think it's a fantastic horse because it's nice and calm. All its friends are there. It knows it's safe. It knows it doesn't have to worry on those trails. And it's all good. It might be quite boring. And then you take it home and it turns into the first Tilly I had, the crazy Tilly. The one that was antsy, reared up when she was in the cross ties, pawed, was freaking out, dancing in place. I want to let you know, it just takes time, okay? I took Tilly. I know I took her from her home. I knew the things that could possibly happen, but I don't give up on horses. Every horse takes a different amount of time to adjust, and you have to give them that time, but you also have to give them structure, and you have to give them lessons, and you have to do things like this, tie them up by themselves so they get used to it, okay? Now, they might have temper tantrums in the meantime, so you got to tie them somewhere safe, somewhere you're nearby in case something bad happens. If they're pawing, I'll hobble them, but I teach them how to hobble first. I don't just slap those on. And I don't do anything crazy to them. It's just every day I do it over and over again until they figure out, you know what? I guess this lady just wants me to stand here. And if I stand here quite good for 20 minutes, she'll unhook me. If I stand here for 20 minutes and act like an idiot, guess what? She makes me stand here for hours. She makes me stand here for hours until she sees I'm being good, and that's when she comes over and gets me. So the horse just has to understand that its life is easier if it does the right thing and it doesn't act up. But some horses are emotional, sensitive, okay? They feel a lot more energy, and so when things change, they change. So don't give up on your horse. If you tried it somewhere, it's not that it was drugged. Well, maybe it was. But most of the time, it's not the horse, the horse was not drugged. It's just it was in a different surrounding. Or maybe it was in pasture versus a stall. Or maybe it was in a stall versus pasture, so it doesn't know how to handle those things. And it has to get used to it. And then also remember, horses do not like to be totally alone. Some do okay, but if you took a horse that was used to being around horses, even if they're in a stall like him, see, he's not touching anybody, but he can see him right across from him. And then there's horses all over here, so they know they're safe. They know there's lots of horses around, okay? But if you take them from somewhere like this and put them all by themselves where they can't hear, see horses, they will not be like this. They will be crazy, because that is not normal for them. That is prison. And that's why with prisoners are being bad, what do? They put them in isolation because people go nuts and they can't take it anymore. And then they'll do anything not to have that happen to them again. So it's the same with horses. They do not want to be isolated by themselves. They feel very unsafe. If they feel unsafe, they're not sleeping well. If they don't meet their social needs, well, then they're getting anxious inside, even if you don't see it on the outside. They'll get ulcers, and then when you ride them, sometimes they just blow up because they need that social interaction with the other horses, okay? So just more advice, give the horses time, set them up for success, and do what you're supposed to do with them every day. They're not going to get better on their own.